A toast to betrayal. The champagne flute shattered against the dining room wall, golden bubbles fizzing into the silence like blood seeping from a wound. My wife's word hung in the air, sharp as a glass shard glinting on the hardwood. A toast, she'd said, her voice a blade wrapped in silk, to the loser who signs the checks, but will never be my real lover. The room spun, her face blurring, those familiar hazel eyes now cold, predatory, pinning me like a specimen under glass. My pulse thundered, a drumbeat of dread and disbelief, as I gripped the edge of the table, the linen napkin crumpling in my fist. We'd been married 7 years, each one a brick in a house I thought was ours. The dinner was meant to celebrate my promotion, our stability, a rare night without the kids. But the air had shifted when she raised a glass, her lips curling in a way that wasn't a smile. The words weren't just cruel. They were a detonation, exposing a fault line I hadn't seen. I replayed them, searching for a misheard syllable, a joke I'd missed. But her gaze held no humor, only a glittering certainty that made my stomach lurch. "Clara, what the hell does that mean?" My voice cracked, raw and unsteady, like a man stepping onto thinning ice. She leaned back in her chair, the candlelight carving shadows across her face, her fingers tracing the stem of her glass with deliberate calm. "You heard me, David," she said, her tone soft but venomous. "Don't play dumb. You've always been good at that." The accusation landed like a slap, but it was a vagueness that clawed at me. My mind raced, sifting through months, years, for clues I'd overlooked. The late night she'd spent at book club, her phone always face down, the way her laughter had grown brittle, like something rehearsed. I'd chalked it up to stress, her job, the kids, the grind of life. But now, each memory felt like a breadcrumb leading to a truth I wasn't ready to face. "Say it," I demanded, my voice rising despite the tremor in my chest. "If you've got something to confess, Clara, just say it." My hands shook, part rage, part terror, as I pictured another man, someone who'd claimed the space I thought was mine. The thought was a knife, twisting deeper with every second she didn't answer. She sighed, a sound so heavy it seemed to pull the air from the room. "You want the truth," she said, her eyes locking onto mine, unblinking. "Fine. It's not about love, David. It's about need. You stopped seeing me years ago. You see the bills, the schedules, the kids' dentist appointments. But me? I'm invisible." Her words were a mirror, reflecting a version of myself I didn't recognize, a man too busy to notice his wife slipping away. I wanted to scream that she was wrong, that I'd loved her fiercely, even through the monotony. But doubt crept in, cold and insidious. Had I missed the signs? The way she'd linger in the doorway, searching my face for something I didn't give? The perfume she'd started wearing, sharp and unfamiliar, like a stranger's scent on her skin? My throat tightened, guilt and anger tangling like wires. Then who? I managed, the question scraping my throat raw. Who's this real lover? The words tasted like ash, but I needed them out, needed her to name the ghost that had haunted our table tonight. Clara stood, her chair scraping against the floor, a sound that echoed like a gunshot in my skull. She walked to the window, her silhouette framed against the city lights, and for a moment I thought she'd leave me hanging, let the silence choke me. Then she turned, her face half-lit, half-shadowed, and said, "It's not a who, David. It's a what? Freedom. Passion. The life I used to have before I became your wife." The confession was what I'd braced for, but it cut deeper. No other man, just a version of her I'd failed to keep. She'd been slipping away, not into someone else's arms, but into a life where I didn't exist. The realization was a slow bleed, worse than any affair. I stood, my chair toppling, and crossed the room, needing to close the distance, to touch her, to anchor us back to something real. But she stepped back, her hand raised, a wall I couldn't breach. "Don't," she whispered, her voice breaking for the first time. "I stayed for the kids. For you. But I'm done pretending I'm whole." Her eyes glistened, not with regret, but with resolve, and I saw it then, the truth she'd been carrying, heavier than any infidelity. She betrayed herself to stay with me. The room felt smaller, the air thick with the weight of her words. I wanted to rage, to beg, to rewrite the past 7 years. But all I could do was stand there, the man who signed the checks, watching the woman I loved disappear into the shadow of who she might have been.